All right, we're going live.
When you shut me out, I'm sorry I gave you a thumbs down. I had to. That's probably not good for your rating. My first podcast that I have to go through this crap. Unbelievable. But
Welcome back to the Boom.
Yeah, boom.
We almost lost our headline guest because I almost wasn't going to come back on, but
I didn't know we were allowed to wear hats. I thought we were trying to keep this professional.
I tried to do it for you guys. I got a full head of hair. I didn't want, and Junior is great. I'm not trying to show up anybody anymore.
That's fair. That's fair. Those plugs do look good. I watched a couple of your other episodes.
They're beautiful. 23,000
so,
worth.
So how's it going? I watched a couple of your other ones. You guys do a pretty good job. I mean, do you think Joe Rogan's feeling the heat? You think Joe Rogan's sweating it? You guys nipping at his heels?
Theo Vaughn. Theo Vaughn's sweating it. Theo Vaughn. We're going for him first.
Who's your next guest? It's probably got to be somebody in Arkansas, right? That's all you've had on the show is Arkansas people.
We're showcasing Arkansas.
That's a good. Bridges. I don't know how it came up. Like we're going in alphabetical order first. We skipped the first.
I figured no one in Arizona wanted to talk to you. Yeah. Yeah, I figured you just didn't know anybody in Alabama or Alaska.
Well, I know Junior's been
welcome in Arizona.
Junior's been itching at the bit, and he had a question he wanted to ask you, and I told him to be careful with this one, but I'm going to go ahead and let him throw it at you. It's been, 3-4 years, and he wants to get it off his chest. Go ahead, Junior.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Well,
weird.
Well, I'm curious about. Well, first of all, why'd you move to Arizona? Witness protection or something, or what?
Hey, Bob, we ask the questions here, Bob. Bob, we ask the questions. This isn't when you get your own podcast, you can ask the questions, but on our show, we'll ask the questions.
Oh, all right. This will end quickly then. But I'm just curious. I'm curious. I haven't seen you guys in a while. I'm a curious guy. So I'm not allowed to ask any questions?
Just kidding. Gino, tell your fans in the audience, your 2.6 million followers, why'd you move to Arizona?
Well, if it's a personal thing, you don't have to go there. I was just curious. I mean,
we moved to Arizona because we visited, and it's just a different world here, It's just very clean and new, and it actually wasn't as expensive when we moved here, and now it's like Disney World prices. So I don't know if I can continue to live here because it's just I know you don't eat bologna, but I do, unfortunately, and bologna, even for like a little $6.99 here. Isn't that crazy?
Bologna. Yeah, well, I was always curious the weather in Minnesota. That's why I was always very curious why softball was so big in Minnesota. Right? It was huge when I first started playing softball, and I never understood it because there's snow on the ground 9 months a year, but you guys were like all in on it. Softball. I guess
it was crazy.
The Scandinavian background, I don't know what it is, but you guys were all in on the softball. It was cool to see that, though.
I think because it's a poor person's sport.
Possibly so. Yeah.
For the most part, no. Because pickleball is huge in Minnesota now too. I mean, huge, and that's another free sport.
So really, though, what was the driver of all that, though, to make everybody love softball the way they did? My first tournament up there, I couldn't believe how many how many teams there were, and I was like, these guys are insane about this, and it kind of blew my mind.
It's went away though. It's no longer that there. Yeah, like the tournaments, like the Dudley. There's no Dudley anymore. Junior killed that with that conference deal. They killed it. People used to like to come out Friday night and watch a close game and then watch their team play another team that would be close. Junior started putting them against your guys' team, And then people would watch their favorite team get beat by 80 on Friday night, and they're like, why would I come and watch this anymore? So they killed it, but, you know, they don't want to admit it. Completely killed it.
Well, here's the last thing, and then I'll let you guys kind of run the show. But just talking about Minnesota, like my first tournament up there, I think we played at Pobs, I think, okay? And I remember the guy telling me, I think it's, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but I remember, so the guy telling us the bar's going to be hopping after this thing, right? And I think my parents came into town because I grew up in Iowa, so I didn't really go out, but my roommate that weekend, he was excited. He got all dolled up, went out, and nothing, right? So he's all pissed off, and he's like, it's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. He goes, every guy in there had a uniform on. He goes, there was guys that probably drove 2 hours with their league uniforms on to go to that bar. And this dude was 6'4", good looking. He goes, I couldn't get one girl to talk to me because I didn't have a softball uniform on. He's like, I couldn't even buy a girl a drink because I didn't have a softball uniform on, you know, and they're all talking to these fat slobs with their sleeves cut off, you know. I was just like, it's a weird, you know, it's, I guess, the Scandinavian side of it. I don't know what it is with you people, but it was, anyway.
That's my jump in on that. I mean, Michigan was similar from the standpoint of a lot of people playing. I would attribute it to, I think it is the weather. I think you're blocked up all for 7-8 months, and I think at least back during our era, you know, where people actually went outside and sit indoors on video games and whatever. Like, I just think it was whether it was competitive or whether it was just, you know, there used to be corporate leagues and tournaments with just, you know, companies and General Motors and Ford. So it was just different. But I think back then, I think it was just an itch to get outside, and whether it was a social thing or a competitive thing, I think softball, you know, happened to be a lot of fields.
Yeah.
I know in Michigan, I think Minnesota was similar, that, you know, it was a means to an end, I guess, and a lot of people looked forward to getting outside and playing.
It was cool though, man. It was fun to see.
How did you start playing slow pitch?
So like after baseball, I just got into like league, like, and I thought that was the pinnacle, right? I'm playing like a Wednesday night league with, you know, Wilson Paper Company or something, I don't know. And so then there was a guy that played league with us, and he played on like one of the better teams in Arkansas, and he was always trying to get me to play weekends and stuff. And I was working like at just a sporting goods store, you know, finished in college, and I got a huge promotion from like $5 an hour to $7 an hour to be like associate to the district manager or some. And so I had to work weekends. That was the lock. And so I was like, man, I can't play. And, you know, this is not that fun anyway. So kind of fast forward, but he had a tryout with that Hooters team. And he asked me, you know, he's like, hey, there's this team out of Kansas City. They're pretty good. They want me to come up and try out. I told them about you. You can come with me. You drive, you know, kind of like, don't expect to make it, you know, but it'll be a good experience for you to get some exposure. And I was like, and so I remember that day I'd gone out the night before, Jacques, but it was Thursday night and gone out. And he called me, you know, kept calling me. And I'm like, I'm not going to do this, right? This. So finally I'll have picked the phone up. I'm like, all right, man, let's go. So we drove up there, and, you know, he's all in. He's like a Minnesota guy. He's taping his bats the whole ride up, telling me about all the guys that are going to be up there. And I'm like, you know, you think we'll be done by like 7 or 8 so I can go out? I know Kansas City's got pretty good numbers, you know. And he's like, you know, anyway. So he was softball McGillicuddy, and I was just like, you know, I'll just go, whatever. So anyway, we do this tryout, you know, like do BP on the field, play some games, stuff like that. And I remember afterwards we went back to like the sponsor's house, and they were like talking to me about playing next year because this happened in the fall. And I remember like making eye contact with this guy, and he was sitting in the corner just like staring at me, you know. He was livid because, you know, they weren't giving him, he thought he was going to be get all the attention up there. And so that was how I started with Hooters. and that was kind of the
So
first
he didn't
time
get
I
on
had
the team.
What's that?
So the other guy did not make the team.
No, he didn't. He didn't make the team. He did make it like 2 years later. They picked him up. He was really good. He could hit. But yeah, Sean Hamilton. I don't know if you remember that name.
Yeah, I
He
do.
was
Was he a big
he was a
guy?
big old. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He did hit good. But anyway, that's kind of how I got introduced to softball and first met you and your boo whooping bunch of Povs guys and stuff. And
What year was that, Bob? What year was that? About
I would say that was like 98
98.
Yeah,
was
that
when I
had to be
first
it.
started playing. Yeah.
Where'd you play baseball at? I mean, I know the answer, but just
Okay.
so people kind of
Well,
know at least your background a little bit from the baseball
yeah. Well,
side.
so I went to Arkansas, and then I signed with the Expos in '94, and that was an eye opener. Well, first of all, Gino, you've probably heard of Cretan Durham Hall or something, that high school there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the year before me, the Expos had drafted a guy named Chris Schwab, who was their first round pick, big outfielder. And so my first season, I was actually doing okay. And my manager was Terry Kennedy, who was a longtime catcher in the big leagues.
Yeah.
He calls me in. He's like, "Hey, got some bad news." And I was like, "Shit." I was like, "Am I getting released?" He's like, "No, but they're bringing Schwabe. They're bringing Chris Schwab down. He's got to get all the at bats." So that was my first kind of demotion, so to speak. So he got all the at bats. He kind of struggled, but it is what it is. Then the next year at spring training was my first encounter with Vladimir Guerrero Sr. And yeah, so I remember we had. Feel free to interject here if I'm too much of a blowhard, but so I remember we were taking BP. So they had it set up to where like AAA, AA, they would go. We would go, as you know, Junior. We would go play, and they would keep a few from each team back to work out. Because there's no sense in sending everybody. So, as luck would have it, Vladdy and I were in the same hitting group, and I just remember, I had my round of BP, and it was, lackluster, or whatever. And he gets in there, lays a couple bunts down, smokes a couple, hit and runs, and then like his first swing was right center home run, like 430 feet. Every ball was 115 off his bat. I mean, it was a different sound. It was, and I was like, Jesus. He didn't look. I mean, he was just tall and lanky at the time, but man, it woke me up, right? And then we go out to take, in and out. We go to infield, outfield. And I'm thinking, because that was the best my arm had ever felt in my life. So I felt at least like, well, at least I'm going to show you what what this is about.
Yeah.
And I throw pretty well. And then I'm like, get some of that, dude. And then, he just like, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, how many of these guys are here? Right. I'm like, this is going to be, I need to get back into school. But anyway, yeah. So then the strike happened, and I didn't last much longer. But yeah, that was an eye opener. And then the last thing I'll say about him to finish that was like 2 days later. I was watching an inter squad ball in the gap, and he goes galloping over and like backhands it on top of his shoes, and just glides in the dugout. And there was these two old head coaches there, a little bit in front of me, and I hear one of them go, "Man, that looks like a young Andre Dawson," and the other guy goes, "No, he's better than Andre Dawson." And I'm like, "What? The Hawk?" I grew up a Cubs fan. I'm like, "The Hawk? He's better than the Hawk?" Anyway, so that was an eye opener. But yeah, that was a cool experience to be able to see him do that, and now watch his kid doing some of the same stuff. It's crazy.
So you're probably thinking, like, is there like a bunch of these guys around here? Like, is this like normal?
I'm like, how many of these guys can do all of this? I'm like, I've never seen. I played in the SEC. Todd Helton. I mean, and I'm thinking, I've never seen anybody with that much juice in their bat, and then be able to throw it 150 from the outfield too. I'm like, that doesn't even seem fair. But when I heard those two coaches say that, it made me feel a little bit better, right? I'm like,
he probably would have had a Hall of Fame softball career, I would think, if Laddie got in. I think he'd do okay.
He probably would have swung at too many pitches, but yeah.
Did that kill your self-confidence watching that?
Well, until I heard those coaches say that, yeah, and but like I said, I didn't play a whole lot longer than that. When that strike broke, a bunch of us got released, and then I played with an independent team for a year and kind of got banged up and was like, this is not, it's time to move on and go meet Gino.
Did
hard
you know
to
anything about the upper level of slow pitch? Like I guess, did you know it existed? Did you have any exposure to it at any point before like you started just playing with your buddy messing around?
Did I know like a high level existed?
Yeah. Did you know? Yeah. Did you know that there was
kind of because you remember Wendell Ricard? He was from
Yeah.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
And my buddy had a bat with his name on it. And that's kind of all I knew. I thought that was just like some weird like joke thing. I didn't know much about it. And then we played in some tournament. I was playing on that little D team, probably whatever. And then there was an A team there at this tournament. And this guy was like, well, let's go watch these guys. These guys are really good, and they had the full unis and the bat bags. And he's like telling me what he knows about all these guys and how good they are. And I'm watching them and I'm like, these guys suck. You know what I mean? I'm like, they're not that good, And so I'm like, which you know how it is. He's telling me how much they make and they, which is probably BS.
Right.
But I'm like, so they pay people to do this? And he's like, yeah, man. He was like, we won't ever get there, but I mean and I'm thinking, well, fuck that. I'll do that then. If I'm going to do this, right? I want, I want at least a bat bag, instead of these these jorts that I'm wearing.
I mean, in any baseball player's mind, and I was the same, even though I had exposure to slow pitch, but it was just a different game when I watch it. But you still, when you get done playing baseball, even if it's college, but minor leagues, like there's still a thing in your mind, like, yeah, I was just watching Vladdy. I was next to him hitting, like, no way this dude's better than me. Like, you know what I'm saying? You just think that you could just walk right into any slow pitch game and like in your mind, like I'll get a hit every time.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was. There was a kid that lived here. It was after I was done playing, but he was asking me how he could get into it, and I was just being honest with him. And he had just been released from like high A or double A or something. Big left-handed hitter, so he probably would have been good. But he's like, no, I need to be on the top, like the very top team. And the example I gave him was Scott Kirby, right? Remember when Kirby came?
Right.
He had unbelievable juice, but it took him a few years to kind of figure out how to hit. And I mean, because it's not just standing there. But in his mind, like you're saying, he was like, no, I don't need to mess with this. Like, I need, give me the number of the top team because I'll be the best there ever was. And I was like, you won't. I mean, you won't, So anyway.
Yes. Yeah. Definite misconception about all baseball players, I think, that watch slow pitch, that just, like you said, now again, the ability's there, and with work and playing, I mean, you'll have a better chance than a guy that hasn't played, but it definitely doesn't just translate into, you walking into a slow pitch field at the highest level, and, most dudes would be lucky to hit 500, and you'd get an argument 100 out of 100 with a baseball guy coming out at that point because they just don't get it.
Oh, yeah.
I was the same way. I didn't get it. And
oh, yeah. No, I was terrible. Like when I first started, I was terrible because of that. Like every pitch, I swung at I don't think I took, probably my first season, I don't think I took one pitch that I didn't swing at, right? Because everything looks good. And we played like in an ASA league, and these old guys would see me doing that, and they would throw it as high as they could. And I would freaking pop up to short, and I'd be like Andy Purcell, screaming and throwing my stuff down. And but yeah, no, it's definitely, you got to kind of learn how to play.
So from Hooters, what was your next move from Hooters? What was the next move up per se?
So I went with Chase.
Oh yeah.
It was like Chase, Reese, Rooster. We had like 9 names. Chuck Cavanis and Rooster is his name. Out of Ohio. Which that was fun. We had a good team that first year. I'm trying to think. I mean, we won the U Trip surprisingly.
I think you were up until for a while, and you guys were the only non-major team I know to win Disney, maybe ever. Honestly, I'm trying to think. Has anybody but a major team won? Did they win Disney? Because you guys won Disney, right?
Yeah, we won. I think we didn't play good because I listened to your guys' discussion with Nichols a little bit, and that was the year They did the 90-foot bases. And we were chasing Team TPS. We were playing in all those events, and we were getting murdered most of the time. But we had me and Rulli and Coco and Derek Oliver, Brian
Messina?
May.
Was Messina?
Yeah. Messina came in like late in the year and pitched, and and he was our answer there pitching. Messina was awesome.
Brian May is a name I haven't heard that name in a while. I forgot about Brian May. That dude could hit.
Yeah, he could hit, man. Yeah, he could really hit. What'd you ask me, Gino?
Jeff Ott, was he on that team?
No, I didn't play with us. No, and I'll tell you, what I think helped us a lot was that was the year those composites came out.
Yeah.
And the top Easton team wouldn't give us any until like really late in the year. And so we were playing them on stadiums. We were using those horse crap tri-shell bats.
Yeah.
And they're launching balls. And I remember like we didn't get them in our hands till late. And I told people, I was like, it would be like hitting all year with a wood bat and then getting a really good aluminum like at the end of the year. Right. I mean, because we just went off. I mean, I remember thinking these balls should not be going this far, right? But those guys were like, had used them so long, I think they like dumbed down to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. And we had dudes that just went off, like Coco went off. I mean, and we just got hot, man, at the right time. But that was a fun tournament because we weren't, because we chased all that long haul, that NSA stuff. We didn't play many tournaments, and right. That was back in the day, and I'm glad you guys changed it, you and your dad.
Yeah.
Where you just had to win like one tournament to get your bid.
Yeah.
And that was also kind of the beginning and the end for me because like I would get a call from Chuck Cavanis on like a Wednesday night or a Thursday morning, hey, we're going to Virginia.
Right.
Sunnyvale dropped out. We're going. And I'm like, dude, I already told my wife we would go to the lake,
right.
And what? You want to be cut? And I'm like, no, but, I don't want to get divorced either. Anyway, right. So that happened like 2 or 3 times. And she was like, come on, man,
Right. Yeah.
And, but yeah, but it was it was a fun team. And then the next year we went with Sunbelt for about 3 tournaments. And can't think of the name of that guy, but we were using those Mizuno junk bats, and we were just getting housed by the other major teams, and we weren't nearly as good as them. And he was Wayne Williamson at Sunbelt, and he was losing his mind at these tournaments that we're getting beat. And I'm looking around going, they're a lot better than we are.
Yeah,
what did you expect? 4th place was pretty good. So he pulled out and like went with Dan Smith or something that year, and I went back to Chase for one more year, and we got like 4th or something at Disney, and then I actually quit after that. I was kind of done with it, just with all kind of the BS and so I didn't play a whole year, and then Walker and like. That group called me because I had moved to Little Rock for a promotion, and I was like, I'll play with you guys a little bit, I can't commit all year, but and then that's when Woody Bell reached out because Higginbotham, remember him? That's when I think maybe that's the year you went with. Did you go with Dan that year?
Yes.
Yeah, and then Helmer got left behind, and they had their own team with Woody.
Yeah.
And Higginbotham was banged up, couldn't run, and so they we need an extra outfielder, and that was a little more money than I had seen from softball. So I was like, yeah. Amy was on board then, right? She's like, okay, yeah. If I can come to the tournaments and you get a decent wage, then we'll do it. So,
what'd you get?
I don't remember. Pat on the back.
Well, people always want to know. I think people think it's a lot more than it actually is.
Yeah, no, sometimes, I mean it was
so many people saying they got these big envelopes, and really,
no,
they didn't. We didn't.
It was like very much. It was like maybe 20, which was a lot because
Yeah, that's
with
good.
With the Chase deal, it was like $250, and that's if they just wanted to pay you. That was the other thing. It'd be like toward the end of the year, it's always like, well, that guy's coming next week and he's going to bring the money and you'll be all caught up, right? And it was like, okay, that happened like all the way through. We're at Disney for a week, bunch of broke dicks, no money, and so that's when I was like, okay, I got a little girl at home, and so I golfed for that whole next year. But no, when that sounded like a cool thing, how it is, like you get the itch, right? I didn't play for a full year. I golfed, and that was okay. I got into that pretty good, but it wasn't the same, as like getting out there with your buddies and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I know that on those Povs teams anyway, no one got $1 until like 2001. Then Povs started paying some money, and I remember playing even a year with like Dixie and Tommy Thompson, and those guys literally would not leave their rooms until they got their meal money. Like they wouldn't even come out of their room. They must have fucked over so bad so many times that like they were like, yeah, Birdie will not come out of his room until someone delivers the money. And that guy would drive everywhere. That Birdie, he would drive. He didn't want to fly because he was his trunk was loaded with marijuana, so he could make it through the weekend. So he had to drive everywhere, but he would not leave his room literally for nothing for batting. Even if the person was like, tell him we're going to give the meal money at batting practice. No, he won't come there until someone has to bring him to the hotel room. Like, well, he already pitcher 16 hours, like crazy.
That's funny. Yeah. No, I never pulled that, but I probably should have.
Then what year? Yeah, what year did you have? Sorry, go ahead, Dino.
I'm saying it's different once you have a family, and when your wife isn't as on board or she doesn't love the game as much, and you have to, you know, she doesn't want you on the phone all the time talking softball, and there's shit to do around the house. And I've talked about that before, where it's like people invest too much time into the game where they're not getting anything back at all, and then the wife is like, fuck this shit,
Yeah. No, yeah, and I had a job that was, I wouldn't say it wasn't impossible, but I would, like when that guy would call me on a Thursday morning and say, hey, you're flying out tomorrow, and I'm like, really, dude? Like, you're really, and then you have that constant anxiety, get a call from your boss on a Friday. Where are you at? You're in the airport and you're like, hey, let me call you back, man. Yeah, that got old, but Woody Bell was awesome, man. If he told you something, it's a done deal, and that helped out a lot. So
yeah,
he was one of the best.
He was good as gold. Yeah, I think that's one thing if haven't played at that level, the misconception, or just I guess maybe the fact of the matter is to play at that top level and to maintain it, it's a year-round gig, and there's a lot of sacrifices, and there's a lot of time, like you said, and energy and effort that goes into it. I was fortunate from the standpoint, I had kids at a later age and got married later, and I would have done it for free. But at the time, too, again, I didn't have kids, and I was financially in a good spot. I loved it so much I would have played for free. But, as I got older and looking at, like, how I was when I was 40, if I would have had kids, it would just, I don't know how it would have looked for me just personally, because you got to make, like you said, you got to make decisions, and ultimately there's sacrifices, and you're kind of, your time is not going to be all where it would be if you weren't playing per se. So, weighing out, is it worth it or is it not? It's not as easy as people think of just, jumping on a plane 12 times and going to play. It's just it's a huge commitment.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, you gotta, as corny as it would sound to somebody who has never seen it played, or, I mean, you do have to put time in, right? You gotta hit, you gotta stay in shape. So yeah, I mean, that part of it is real. If you want to do it. So.
Right. And then what was the first year you got to Rismondo? Do you remember?
So I played with Woody for 3 years, I guess. And then, so it would have been like 2008 maybe that I came
I had
over.
07, 08 in my mind, somewhere
Okay,
in that
yeah,
range.
because
Yeah.
you were with us. You and Vince were with Woody, right, for a year.
'06, yeah. I came in '06 was the year that I was with Woody. Yes.
Okay, and then I think I played with Woody one more
One
year,
more.
and then and then I came over with Travis.
'08.
Hey, was there anyone like you said that Vlad really impressed you in baseball? Was there any softball players that you watched that you were like, holy fucking shit, this guy is next level? Either when you first started or when you ended, even.
Well, so that's a good question. I remember, so when I first started with Hooters, we would go to a few majors. And that was the first time I'd ever seen major softball, right? Like Rusty and those guys. I mean, he seemed
Yeah.
like a giant back then. And then like watching Team TPS and how they just did it, went about their business and how they were good. And I just remember watching the outfielders. Robin Higginbotham was so good in the outfield before he got hurt. Yeah, he always impressed me. They had Styles on that TPS team. I think Kendo may have been there too. As an outfielder, you look at the other outfielders and you kind of want to be like, okay, I need to be able to do this, this, and this
Right.
if I'm going to play at that level. But that's when I first started seeing those guys and thinking, okay. And like you're saying, you hear these inflated numbers about what this guy's making or that making, and you're like, wow, really,
Yeah.
And then when you get there, you realize, okay, it's probably not that high, but
Right.
it was still pretty cool. And it gets in your blood, right? You see those teams play and you want to play against them and you want to play with them. And so, yeah, I mean, that was just, I just remember that first time I saw Team TPS and I was just like in awe of all the, Wallace was on that team, and it was an unlimited tournament, I think, and just how effortlessly they were blowing the balls out and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I need to work. I need to start taking some BP.
Hey,
What would you say, Bob? What do you think from looking back? I guess those Rosmondo teams, and I guess versus any of the other ones. I mean, obviously, we had really good players, and we had Andy, right? But I
Yeah.
guess from the outside coming in, just as that team or those teams, really, what would you say in your mind, kind of differentiated or or led, I guess, to the sustained success that group had? What was kind of your take, internally being in there, of what you thought and what you would tell people, that kind of, hey, what made this group as special as it was?
Great question. So yeah, I think, and you hit on it with Andy, but just that core group you guys had that were like so close. There was not really any dissension. There wasn't any, talking behind. Like everybody kind of knew their role,
Right.
and everybody executed their role. Everybody kind of held each other accountable, and I mean, it was just such a tight knit group, especially those first few years that I came over with you guys, with you and Howie and Andy. And I mean, like a guy like Howie, he's indispensable. Like the way I mean, the biggest team guy I've ever seen, maybe in any sport ever. I mean, just he wanted to win. Like I remember, he didn't even get hardly any at bats one year, and he was crying after we won, right?
Yeah.
Where 98 of 100 guys would be like, okay, I'm happy we won, but I'm kind of pissed. I only had 2 at bats.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, granted, his 2 at bats would be with 2 guys on, and he'd bury it in that hill out there.
Yeah.
Pull off 3 ice bags on his elbows, take a few swings,
Right.
take a picture too, and then he'd murder it 380 down the line. But no, I think the unity of it was different than what I had experienced before. I mean,
Right.
you always had some conversations going on behind backs and things, and that didn't happen. It wasn't tolerated, right? But it didn't happen. So I think that was the key for that group.
Yeah, I would agree. We say it all the time. We could just show up and play. And really, everything else was kind of handled. I mean, there's stuff behind the scenes at time. Travis would be Travis, and and little things. But overall, I mean, like you said, it almost ran itself, and the accountability was there from top to bottom. Everybody knew their role, and And yeah, we weren't worried about where we're going next year. Is this guy leaving? Like for the most part, all that noise was kind of eliminated. So
yeah, no, Travis was. I mean, he is as dysfunctional as he liked to be. I mean, he ran a first class. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but like, there was one year living here, we had a horrible ice storm, and like I needed a new roof, and I was like, shit, I feel like my wife was working or anything, and I think I reached out to Travis. I was like, hey, can I get an advance? It was in the winter,
right.
And he didn't reply, or I didn't get a yes or no, and I kind of blew it off. And then like a couple of days later, I had an envelope with quite a bit of money in there, to help me with that. Now, I mean, that's him, right? But then he'd show up at the park and say, well, I'm cutting this guy and I'm getting rid of this guy and this guy can't hit. And, right. But when you needed something, man, it was, he was there for you. So he's an interesting character in that regard.
Yes. The facade, out on the field, and he's competitive and, like you said, says stuff. Some of it's in the heat of the moment, and a lot of it's calculated. Like he knows exactly what he's doing and what he's trying to do and whose head he's trying to get into. And, even on his own team, if he wants to get a rise out of somebody, like
for sure.
He knows what he's trying to do. And more times than not, and even I will say that it worked,
Yeah.
I mean, it did. There was even sometimes I'm thinking like, oh God, man, that you might have crossed a few lines there, but I don't know about. But hey,
yeah, no, he I mean, he was that guy that you hated when you played against him, right? But you would have stuck up for him when he had your back, right? But yeah, I mean, and we all have so many of those guys, right? You played against for years, and you're like, that guy's the biggest asshole. I can't I hate his guts. But then you get to know him, or you play with him, or whatever, and you're like, you'd get in a fight if you heard someone talking bad about him,
Sounds like Gino. That's what everybody thinks of Gino. Nobody likes Gino if you don't know him or you just play against him and you really don't know him. Again, because he's calculated of everything he says and he's going to say whatever. He doesn't care, and most people don't like that.
Yeah. No, we were playing you guys, Gino, at the A World one year, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, because I broke my foot on Saturday and I'd gone to the hospital and I was looped up on hydros. But I was sitting on the bench and you were being Gino, but the wind was blowing in. It was in Kansas City. Wind was blowing in, and there wasn't a lot of home runs being hit. And Gino gets up there and he hits one. He smokes one left center gap, and our infielder yells, "In here!" And before Gino gets to first base, he goes, "In here's ass," and it goes out. And I was on the bench. I was like, "That's pretty funny, actually." I was like, "Okay, I think I can get with this guy." But
that was probably the last year I hit good.
Well, you hammered that one. We thought you were a pretty good hitter then.
That was the last year of it, unfortunately. I remember that weekend we had like a really big hitter on our team that was having a good weekend, and then we showed up that morning and the wind was had picked up and galing completely in, and I'm not gonna name his name because I've already blasted him, but he fucking said his back was killing to preserve his 800 OBA, and if you have any brains on a team or any of those team guys, we were all like, we're going to kill this motherfucker. You know what I mean? But he didn't play. And I think you guys might have beat us that game. I think you might have won that game. And I think we might
No, I think you put us out on that game, honestly, if I remember correctly. Because I was just sitting there on the bench, looking at my watch. But, I think that was, I don't remember what year that was, but you guys had a good team, though.
Some of those teams, when you're trying to come up, I remember playing on that team that year, and we played Nastali's team in the winner's bracket final. And I don't want to say what I was for the weekend, but it was pretty good, like 24 for 25, But I don't want to say stats, but
is that pretty good?
Nastali gets me out on a pitch, and in the game, and I hear one of my players yell, "This guy can never get a fucking hit in the clutch." And literally, you're like 24 for 25, and you're like, and the team isn't that great. And I just said right back, I said, believe it or not, every fucking hit on this team is clutch because we don't get very many fucking hits. But I remember just those type of teams like you guys talked about, everyone's always trying to maneuver, trying to, get on. And so when you're on Resmondo, which you guys made it to, it's nice because you don't have as much of that anymore where people are trying to belittle or trying to go, chat up over in the corner. I hated seeing that. It always just bugged the shit out of me during the year when people are trying to make moves,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was pretty common, man. Yeah, and that does get old. That used to exhaust me too because I loved it. I mean, it was important to me, but that like the political side of it, I just didn't have the energy. I didn't have the bandwidth to do those things, and we probably can all name and we won't name, but we can think of guys, conjure up in our head, the guys that did that nonstop, right? And it was just like, man, this is like such a energy vampire, like to just suck. That's all you're doing is talking bad about this guy, and talking to this sponsor about, wow, he's not that good, that kind of stuff. And I'm sure it's still happening today. I don't know. I could name more WNBA players than I could name players today, other than maybe Connect.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, we're right with you, honestly.
What really gets me is the senior game that's so huge. Like if they ever do want to make slow pitch softball, and Junior had one of the greatest points ever when we first started talking. I was like, do you think this can ever go pro? And Junior had the funniest line ever. He was like, well, if they tested for steroids the first week, he goes, there wouldn't be one team left in the conference. He goes, they wouldn't even be able to field the team. Every team would be done.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That would kill it. Yeah. So I did. I know you had Walker on. I played a little bit with him at 15 over, and we played a Minnesota team. And Sean DeMars was catching. That's the only reason I knew it was a Minnesota team. My first at bat, and I tell him, I was like, dude, I hadn't played. You got these guys on your team. They've been hitting 5 days a week. I hadn't played in 10 years. Don't feel like you gotta, try to help my ego or anything. I promise. I said, if you want to hit me last, you don't want to play me. I mean, I'm just here. Anyway, so of course we get to the field. I'm batting third, right? And I'm like, Jesus, okay. First two guys probably get on, and I come up, and so it's probably some crafty pitcher from Minnesota, it's been playing for 70 years. And so the first pitch is kind of deep, but it's that carpet, right? Have you guys played any of this where it's like the carpet back there? No, maybe that was just NSA. Well, it hit that, so that's a strike, right? So I back up because I'm thinking, all right, well, that was too deep to hit, so I'm going to back up. Well, then the ball hits the plate, the second pitch, and I'm standing there. I'm like, okay, I'm back in the count. And then I hear him go 3, and I'm turning around. I'm like, that hit the plate. DeMars is like, oh, that's a strike. And I'm like, oh, shit. Well, that would have been good to let me know that before I came in, with two guys on. But hey, that was how I started, and it didn't get much better. I think I hit a double play in like the championship game to end it or something, or to at least in one of our rallies. So Walker, I never show up good for Walker.
So when we had Hartwig on, he said you used to slap him in the face all the time.
So me and my best friends used to play that was called this. We put a lot of thought into this game. We called it the slap game. And so what it consisted of is we just, once we got drunk, we would at least let the guy know. We'd just say slappy, and then we'd come across the face, just see how many we get in. But yeah, Hartwick had never played, so he didn't enjoy it. He didn't enjoy the slap game. Yeah, I'm lucky he didn't just bust my nose.
Did you ever play it with Scott Nichols at all, or no?
Are you out of your fucking mind?
You didn't try it on him just to see if he wanted to play?
No. Look, I'm dumb, but I ain't stupid. And no. Yeah, he played with Hooters with me for at least a year or something, and he could hit, and we were playing a major team or something, and this is when I knew he was a badass, and everybody was. I forget who it was a major team. They were just big dudes, and there was some balls hit through the middle, and they started chirping, and he had just had enough, and he just walked out of the dugout and pointed over there. It was like, next guy that opens his mouth getting his ass kicked.
Zip.
It was the freaking, you could hear a mouse pissing on cotton. I mean, the rest of the game was like playing in a library. No one said, it went from hooting and hollering to they were just looking at their shoes. And yeah, so I was like, Jesus, everybody's scared of this guy. And you've probably all heard the stories, but yeah, there's good reason for it. So I say all that to say, no, I never tried to slap him.
You never tried to slap game with him. Probably a smart move.
No, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Gino? Didn't you and Bobby have a little run-in? Give me the story for that you and Bobby.
I don't know what happened because all I know is I pissed Bobby off in 90. It would have been 99 or 2000, like 99 in Michigan. Like we played those guys, and I remember. I know we knocked you out. That maybe we did knock you guys out every year almost. No, that was the year before. So this was the year before in Michigan, and I remember Yoshi ran over your catcher hard, cheap kind of almost. Who was a nice guy, your catcher, but he kind of came up the line for a ball, and Yoshi just macked him, and Yoshi did a lot of stuff like that. He used to do a lot of things that were, if he's on your team, you liked it, but if you were on the other team, you're like, that's fucking cheap almost. You know what I mean? Like he'd play first base and he'd be up, and if a lefty hit the ball at him and there's a guy on first base, he would tag the runners fucking just a whap, like the slap game. But he tried to get him in the nuts or in the face. It was it was a cheap one, you know what I mean? And it would normally start a pretty good fight, and then he would just play dumb to it all. Like, what do you it was clean.
He didn't, yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing he used to do all the time, he used to, if he didn't like the umpire, he used to fucking, for no reason, and I played catcher a lot, gun the ball 900 miles an hour at the umpire in the sky, you disguise that he's throwing to the catcher, so you'd have to, the umpire would get the shit scared out of him, so he was doing that type of shit. But anyway, I don't remember how I got Bobby so riled up, but I do remember his crazy eyes when I was leaving the field, and I was like, I was smart enough to know that I caused enough of those deals. When I seen that, I was like, oh, I don't want, he's right here, and the line is right here, and I'm like, I need to try to get him back down to here somehow. So I wasn't going to say one more word, because I know even the wrong look, and I was going to get fucking mangled there. So,
well, I do. So first of all, I was not too far removed from baseball, and that's what I was saying. You guys were softball, like you guys were so loud, like the whole game, right? I just remember I'd get the red ass because you would be beating us, and then you got, come on, let's go. And first of all, I'm like, are these guys from fucking Canada? I couldn't, and let's go, hit it out. What's this about? And I'm like, anyway, so it was just nonstop chirping. And then you were another level, because I remember we picked up that pitcher from Minnesota, and you were riding him really bad. Like,
oh yeah,
just constant, constant chirping and chirping. And I think you did knock us out that day. And as luck would have it, they had a bar there. So I went to the bar, and me and my Indian friend went and had some firewaters. And yeah, I remember you walking out, and I was thinking, let's probably do something here. I was like, I'm tired of this guy. It's been like 2 full years of them beating us and just nonstop chatter. I'm like, I kind of want to end it now. Make it all go away, but. But anyway, luckily for everybody, yeah, because that never ends well for anybody.
I could see it in your eyes. I was like, he looks.
I should have stuck.
Looks
I should have stuck
you
nickels on
that
you.
little shake to you too, like that little tremble. I'm like, oh yeah, I got him all the way there. He's all the way
You
there.
did. I know I wasn't the first you did that to, though. That's the thing, and I wasn't the last. But you got me.
That's hard to do for Bob. Now, having a few drinks mixed in there makes it make more sense, because to get him mad in softball, at least later when I played with or against, like, he didn't say a whole lot. He just played hard. But if you did something bush league to a teammate, hit middle or something like that, that's when he would go from 0 to 100. So that makes sense. You tell him that story, and then obviously throw in a few adult beverages, and then it can even get to a higher level. So I can see it had to be something along those lines, because like I said, unless you were way different when you were younger, you didn't really say a whole lot, but you were kind of like Howie. I mean, me too, but I would say more than you at times. But you would go from 0 to 100, and you'd go quick.
Yeah,
Bob.
Bob,
how would you get stuck in Palm Springs until Thursday?
That might be off limits. I don't know.
Man, air traffic back then was hard.
It's a tough place to get to.
I missed it. It was hard to get up there. Yeah, I had to catch a ride. It was. I missed like 8 or 12 flights, and got home about Tuesday. So, yeah.
Have you been allowed back since?
No, I have not played in that tournament.
Hell no. It was lucky he could play again after that period. Was that the same weekend you physically assaulted me? Made my nose bleed? Was that same weekend?
Oh, you're a bad wrestler. That's all that is.
Well, I mean, you're from Iowa. Yeah, I guess I don't know what I was thinking at that time, but I decided we pulled over, or we were somewhere. We were going to, I don't even know. All I know is I don't even know what bottom or top is, and he took top and I was on bottom, and 2 seconds later my face was into the dirt and my nose was bleeding, and it was over. It was 5 seconds.
Oh, you wrestled?
He's disqualified.
Yeah.
Injury time out.
Bloody nose.
We're still friends. It all worked out.
You took his arm out and then just slammed his head down into the ground, or what?
I don't remember. I may have done a chicken wing and then rubbed him down in the ground or something. I don't know. He's going for the win. He challenged my manhood.
And you didn't even you should have gave him top at least.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he wanted bottom.
Junior was a bottom. I know Junior was a bottom. I always knew that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
There's no surprise there.
Yeah.
So why did you end up giving up softball? Why'd you quit? What was the last year, and what do you think was the end of it?
So, yeah, I mean, they had picked up who was that young Puerto Rican kid or whatever? I mean,
Santana. Oh,
who was it? He picked. Well, they picked up. What's his name? The lefty that ended up. He's really, really good. They were both really good. Yates, right?
Sanchez?
Yates and then that little center fielder that
Santana?
was from Orlando. Yeah. So, I mean, I wasn't playing very much. I mean, as rightly so, right? I mean, I was 40. This kid was like 22, right? So, I mean, if you're Andy and you're pitching, you'd rather have a 22-year-old out there than my, broken down ass. So, it just, and I'll be honest, I mean, the last couple years, it wasn't as fun for me. I think the group had changed a little bit.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't having as much fun, like, with the guys like I did for a long time. Yeah. And, you couple that with not playing. I mean, it's like, it's a hard sport to watch for me, sitting over there. So, I mean, that was kind of the genesis of the beginning of the end, I guess. And I think we went to a tournament, and it was like, I think it was Wegmans tournament up there that always goes super late. I had started a new job, and I think I had like a training to be at Monday, and I'm like, I can't not go. Like, to tell an employer in the pharmaceutical industry that like I was playing slow pitch softball and I can't be there, it would be like telling somebody, me and my buddies had a golf game and I wanted to do that instead of, do this job, right? I'm like, I can't. This is not
Right.
So I was like, I got to go, and I went with Cornell to the airport and left before the tournament was over. And then I think Travis had Rector call me and say, don't come back. And I was like, all right, I'm good. That was it.
Oh, so you were done during the year?
Yeah, I think it was after that tournament, if I remember.
Yeah, I think it was at Cincinnati. Yeah, Cincinnati was like usually late July or whatever. I think usually there was just Detroit after that, and then I think that was late July of whatever year it was.
And it was it was kind of no hard feelings either way, really. I mean, they didn't really need me, and I was like, that's fine.
I think too. It felt like you were fighting injuries those last couple of years too, right? Didn't you? I mean, hammy, didn't you? I mean, you kind of had some stuff go on too physically where it wasn't like you were 100% or even close. I feel like, right?
Yeah, no, I was always like my knees. I had 4 knee surgeries. I was always in pain. And that's the other thing. And I had a back issue the years before, so. Was it Vince Lombardi said pain and fatigue make cowards of us all, but it's hard to enjoy anything when you're in pain all the time, right? And it's like, so that was part of it too. It got to be a chore, right? Like I used to love to go hit BP, and when that Friday would show up to get in the, to go see your buddies on the plane, you would be excited. In the last probably year and a half I was doing it, it was like work, right? I was like, I wasn't really excited. Junior was there, and I mean, there was guys I liked being around, but there was unfortunately also there was guys I didn't really enjoy being around, which was kind of a first time for me.
Right.
So I was just like, this is getting to be too much of a chore. So that was it.
Yeah. It seems like it's hard. It seems like it's hard to mix the different generations a little bit, just because I feel like our generation was so much more hard-nosed and maybe even a little bit crazy. And then you get the younger generation to come in that's more lackadaisical and doesn't take everything as serious and is more of like a victim mentality. So not all, but a majority, from what I had seen. And so it's, if you're used to not being around that, because even like the players that weren't that good were still hard-nosed coming up, it's just hard to fight with that mentality.
Yeah, I mean, it just got to be a little bit different for me, and like I said, the thing on Fridays it wasn't exciting to me anymore, it just got to be more of a job type thing. So I was like, I don't have time to do it. And I started a new job that year, and it just, you want to get off on the right foot in that regard. So I'd had enough.
How old are your daughters now?
I've got one that's 22. She's in graduate school, and then 18-year-old she's a senior in high school, so she'll be starting college next year.
Where's she going?
Goes fast, man. She's going to go to Arkansas.
Arkansas. They're all Razorbacks.
Oh yeah.
How many years have you been married, Bob?
We got married in 2001. So
that's almost like a record in slow pitch softball to still be married this long after playing.
I'm probably up.
You know what I mean? Not many people. Yeah. You watch so many guys trade away their wife and kids, and they're not even getting paid, and they trade away the whole family.
I'm grateful that it didn't end that way. I mean, it possibly could have, but yeah, I mean, I'm grateful that it didn't go down that road. Wouldn't have been worth it.
My
wife. Now, are you trying to Roy Firestone me? You trying to make me cry? You trying to? You're not going to get me cry on this.
Trying to hit you with the Rod Tidwell from Jerry Maguire.
Yeah,
Slink you down.
No, can't
No,
do it.
I think one thing, like you said, I think Bob, I think fortunately, I mean, getting to play slow pitch and get paid and travel around and play a lot longer than most people. But there comes a time, and mine was similar with my body and again the change in the game and people and those things. It was the same way. Like I just remember finally feeling somewhat normal Thursday, Friday, and just having to go did those back to backs and just be like, God, man. And again, just like the pills you would take and the stuff just to get yourself to get back out there and play. And then just the travel in general just becomes, it becomes taxing. And then you just get in different stage of your life where your priorities change and kids and whatever it may be. And like I said, but the change of just new people coming in a different mindset and generation. I mean, it's not to say it's wrong, but I mean, I think Santana is a good example. Like he was a good dude, a little different, good teammate, but like he would even do some stuff like on the team. When we'd be playing Brett and them, like he would hit the middle, we'd be winning by 20 and hit one right at their head. And like he just didn't get like why that was bad, and just was different. Just they carried themselves a little different, and I'm sure as I got out, it's completely changed. But for me, I can just relate to some of those same dynamics as just being like, this is different. It's
What
just,
was your last year? You played quite a while though, didn't you? I mean, after I
yeah.
left.
I mean, I played 18 was my last year,
Wow.
and I probably 17 probably would have been the right year to do it.
How many
But
of those
honestly, I
years?
think 18 was 17 was the last year at Disney, and 18 was the first year at Vieira. So I think part of me wanted
Junior,
to.
how many of those years were you pulling all the strings from behind the scenes, though? Like, obviously you were the coach and you just told Rector what to do. When did you
Are you talking
decide?
about coaching, or are we talking
When did
about
you
the
decide you were
umpires? Are
gonna?
we talking about the
When did you
stickers, the
decide you were going
bat?
to
Are we
cut your
talking
friends
about
off
the
the
wind blowing
team
the right at
and bring these
Disney?
young guys on? I mean, winning meant a lot to you. I'm surprised these guys still talk to you, but congratulations. You got another couple major World Series victories at the price of these guys not having fun anymore. Congratulations.
Are you insinuating? I know you said I called the code red on Lee Payne and traded him. You said, are you saying I cut Bobby and I got rid of all my friends? Is that where you're going with this?
No,
yeah, Jessup.
Jessup. You can't handle the truth, but no, he had nothing to do with that. I mean, that was all my doing. Like I said, those kids were like Santana was 10 times the outfielder I was at that point. So I was like, Andy. I mean, if he's pitching, I would want young legs out there too. So yeah.
Did Andy give you some double? Did he give you the double?
Oh, the double hipper, yeah, all the time, man.
That's when you're in trouble. You get two hands on the hips.
I got in trouble. So my last 2 years, I stayed in trouble, man. He was mad at me more than my wife was. So I was like, I'm tired of Andy being mad at me. But the other one I liked was, you remember this, the Wallace. And a team would have like 4 lasers in the gap, and then Wallace's thing is he'd step out in front of the plate and he'd slap his glove and go, "Pick it up, gang." I'm like, what do you want us to do, Jeff? Like, unless Andy pitches it and goes and blocks the next 3 balls off the bat, there's not a whole lot we can pick up, except the ball off the fence.
Oh yeah. What do you think of Wallace, Bob? Give me a quick.
We've been asking everyone. Go ahead,
yeah.
June.
No, I was going to say, Wallace, give me your version of Jeff Wallace from your perspective as a teammate and player or whatever.
I thought he was like a 10 out of 10 as a teammate. I loved him. I mean, he was funny. Yeah. It's one of those situations where you watch him, you play against him, and you think he's a total dick, maybe a psycho, doesn't say, you don't hear him saying much.
Right.
And he might blow one by your pitcher's ear or something. But then when you get to meet him, I mean, he's freaking hilarious. His sense of humor. I mean, that's what people don't see is that side when, I remember a guy told Howie, one of Howie's buddies, one time we were playing it was probably whatever the other major, Dan Smith. It was another major. I mean, it was like kind of a big game, right? At a tournament, and Howie told me the story that his buddy was like standing behind me and Howie, listening to us talk during the game, and he's like, I was blown away that you guys were having that kind of a goofy conversation. You know, in that game, I would think you guys would be like so dialed in, but you guys were just having a good time. You know.
Right.
And we knew what we were doing. But we were just enjoying being teammates and stuff like that. But I think to say all that to say the Wallace thing, like I didn't have any idea he had a good sense of humor. I didn't know he was a good teammate. I didn't know any of that until I played with him, and I thought he was the greatest in all those respects. So,
Same.
has that been the general consensus?
What?
Yes. Yes.
Has that been the general consensus? I mean, most people say the same thing. I would assume.
That played with him, yes.
Too. Yeah. Is he doing anything? Is he around? What's that?
Coop, I talked to Coop the other day, and he said he talks to Wallace, 3 times a week or something like that. And, when I talked to Don Cooper, he said, out of all the people he's helped, and, he's done a lot for a lot of people in softball, he said there's very few that kept in touch with him after he couldn't, when they weren't getting any money anymore or anything. He said the phone completely stopped ringing, no one kept in touch. So I think it's really cool that you guys, after all these years, still text and still keep I was on some group text with you guys, and it fucking kept me busy all night because the energy is so funny,
Yeah. Well, that's what it's about, right? Like whether it's baseball or softball, the stories are never, remember that game-winning double you hit. It's always like, you remember that funny, you know what I mean? Remember the stuff we did. I mean, that's the stuff that builds the friendships. So that's the stuff I remember.
Me too.
Yeah.
With that said, we've been asking people the top 5, and I'm sure you're prepared. I know you probably studied for weeks when you knew we were going to have you on the show. Months. Even before we knew we were going to have this show, you knew we were. That's how prepared you are. So, who are your top 5 guys out of Maple Grove, Minnesota? No, I mean, out of ever to play that you've watched or that you played with slow pitch softball. Your top 5.
You can't name yourself. You can't name yourself. That's been a rule of people saying, not that you would, but
no, I wouldn't be in there.
Can't name Junior. I'm sick of hearing his fucking name. I mean,
how many people have named Gino?
Not one. And shouldn't. The highest I ever got was AA. I set the bench for that laser vision that one year, and just like you, halfway through, I was like, to Coop, I don't, as much as I thought it would be fun just pinch hitting all the time, I just don't want to pinch hit. It's no fun to me, especially when the team isn't doing that great, and you're like, I think I can do better pinch hitting than these guys, Remember that one game Andy walked me and I started going to third? That's how much I played. I forgot fucking which way to go,
Dumbass. So, obviously we'll start with Andy, right? I'm sure that his name's, he changed the game. I hated hitting off him. He would get in your head because you just would miss hit balls. And then when I got to play with him, standing when I was in center field and just seeing how much his ball would move, especially if he had wind blow. It was, so he changed the game, right? From the pitcher's standpoint. Other guys were doing some weird stuff, but his knuckleball was a game changer. So obviously him, Junior, I think, and I'm not just saying it. As far as infielding goes, playing against him, made all the plays. And I'm going to sound like a old man, get off my lawn guy, but we used to play on horrible dirt fields.
Yeah.
And he would pick these balls that are 150 miles an hour on bad, getting bad hops, or just eat it and throw the guy out. So that just kills innings, right? I would say begrudgingly, kind of. I'll say Ruley, just because he was so valuable. I mean, he is hitting and fielding, same thing. I mean, he just fielded his
I
ass
can
off.
see who's watching, and right after you said that, Ruley dropped off. He waited fucking an hour 10. Waited just for that, and now Ruley dropped off the podcast. Unbelievable, Ruley. But
my only knock on Ruley, and I'd tell this to his face. My only knock on
he's
him.
back on. Hold on, he's back on.
My only knock on him would be once he got on first, once he got his hit, he's not running hard, right? Like once he got his knock, he could have a pulled hamstring, and if he hits a ground ball, he's the fastest guy on your team to first to get his hit, and then he's not. We used to laugh watching him get a jump off first. Somebody hit a ball in the gap, and he just, it's almost like he was just walking. That's my only knock. He was unbelievable. It felt like he never made an out. I mean, it was really uncanny. So what are we at, 3? I'm gonna pull one out from the past. And I was fortunate to play with him for a couple of years. Todd Martin.
Yeah.
And I started playing, I think, on kind of on the back end of his.
A good one.
But here's what I loved about Todd is you wouldn't know if he was 4 for 4 or 0 for 4. I mean, he was the same dude no matter what. He did everything team first. I remember we were playing at Disney one year, and at the time, he's probably been broken, I don't know, but he was like the all-time hits leader in USSSA, right? And he's running out like a bat boy, picking bats up. You know what I mean? Like telling people, like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's doing stuff that you wouldn't think a guy that was one of the best ever to do it. He just was such a team guy, and just watching him, the way he handled himself was a cool thing to see.
I loved his swing. I love that guy's swing. Like I would watch his swing, and I was like, if you could patent your swing after anyone, and he was a hell of a baseball player too, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He was a third-round draft pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he was awesome, man. He was probably one of my favorite teammates for that reason, just because the way he handled it. It was like so even keel, no matter what. Never,
But he had a mean side to him.
Oh yeah,
it might not verbally come out, but he's kind of because if something goes down or whatever, he ain't gonna say a word, and I mean he's gonna protect his people, and he don't care if he hits into a double play doing it and whatever.
Yeah.
He'll throw one up in the middle of somebody's back running like he's
got
a mean side
$1,000,000%.
He was a good way in my opinion.
Yeah, no, he'd throw it at your back. He'd tag people, like he would try to hurt people when he's tagging. He had that mean streak, but it didn't. It was a very subtle, very subtle mean streak.
Yes.
If you played against them, he never played like that slap ass. Like he fucking looked at you like he wanted to fucking kill you. And then I ended up getting to play with him, not for like a full year, but some of those pickup tournaments with you guys. And I always thought he hated my guts just because of how mean he was when you play against him, and then you play with him for the weekend, and he's like, acts like you're his favorite human ever, which was like a relief because you always looked up to the guy, so you didn't want him to hate you.
He had a different mindset when he was on the field, for sure. It was just that, but that's why he was so great. And I guess if I had to do a last one, I'd say Cannell, just because of how good he was when I came back with Resmondo. He kind of took off, and I remember all the people making comments about, well, his bat's this, his bat that. I remember we were taking batting practice at Disney, Junior. I don't know if you remember this, but and him and Andy were up there hitting, and Andy was, the wind was blowing in from left, and Andy was hitting him pretty good, but like warning track, and he was kind of getting frustrated. And Cannell grabbed his bat, and like his first swing was on the freaking flagpole.
Yep.
And I was like, holy, like that was a whole nother level of juice. Like I was like, that dude, his swing, like he just creates so much torque.
Yeah.
And he was fun to watch. Yeah, I mean, he'd probably top out my 5, I guess.
Yeah, he obviously was a different level. And what's your only knock on him? I remember you said you were going to give a knock on Cannell too.
I don't think I ever said.
you only gave a knock on Ruley. You can't name off 5 people and only knock one guy. There's got to be a knock on Junior, a knock on Andy. Can't just knock on Ruley, and it feeds right into what Ruley's saying. He always gets picked on.
I gave Ruley a top 5 of all time.
For Bob to give Ruley a top 5, as much as I know that was like they say whatever. I mean, Ruley would drive Bobby nuts. And not intentional, but just being Ruley. Like Howie and Bobby and Ruley, it was like Ruley literally, like the last 2 years, I mean, and I love Ruley, he knows it. The guy had his own rent-a-car. He would drive in a car by himself because he was in his own little world, and it's hilarious. But the fact you named him shows obviously how good of a player and teammate he is.
No, he was unbelievable. I mean, base hit every time.
I seen him this weekend. You know, my son was playing golf in his area, and so I met up with him, and he still has all the passion for the softball. You know, he was talking, I won't name names, but they ended up losing 50 and over, and he said they had some drop balls in the outfield, so they might be looking for an outfielder in the 50 and over, but he said these guys were jumping around like they won the World Series, and I was just admiring that he still cared, because I would be jumping up and down after we were done, like you guys said, you know.
He still has that boulder that sits right here.
Oh, yeah.
That chip on his shoulder that's made him great.
Keeps
that
him
will
going.
never go away. Him against the world. It's really against the world. Everybody's against him.
Yeah. I remember, so when I kind of first started, I remember like he had a couple years, you know, he would be on a AA team and hit 980, and then like Dan Smith would pick him up and he kind of struggled a little bit because he just wanted to do, and then they'd get rid of him. He'd go on a AA team and hit 980 again. You know, I mean, it was just like, but then he finally got over that hump and was unfreaking believable. I mean, we played in the 40 and over with him in like 2017. It's the same thing. He got a base hit every time and was just, you know, we'd be up by 50 and, you know, the ump would call a bad strike and he'd lose his mind, you know, and we're like, Dennis, you know, we're up by 50. The guy's got jean shorts on, right? I mean, relax. You're going to get something to hit here. But that's just him, man.
There's never been a strike on him his whole career that he agreed with.
Not once ever.
I know his son's playing at New Mexico State D1 baseball.
Yeah,
Easton.
his son's a good player.
And I know, and Ruley is, you know, he's a great dad, you know, so he's super involved in that and probably cares too much, I think. I think that's a fault of a lot of parents.
I remember Dennis telling me about Jack Wilson played in the big leagues. He might be around my age. He played probably 15-year shortstop, and I remember him telling me about Jack Wilson's kid. And they used to go over. I think he made a field in his backyard, but definitely a cage. And Easton would go over and hit with him. And he's the one. He just hit 312 or 315 this year for the A's. You know, it's his kid.
Yeah.
So obviously he wasn't wrong. He's an absolute stud. He's probably gonna be rookie of the year or whatever.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Small world, man.
Well, I got another interview. I also do a pickleball podcast with some top pickleball players. You know, I
thought we had Jordan coming at 3 today. Is that not today?
You got Theo Vaughn next.
It's hard to keep up. We got to talk to our assistant and publicist.
Who would you like to see on here? Who would you like to see on your hobby?
You know, Rogan's going to have a smear campaign against you two to kind of slow the momentum of this thing. You know it's coming.
We've already felt the raft of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and we survived that. So, you know,
I don't want any more lawsuits, so I got to stay away from. I don't know what else can come on me. So I don't.
Is there anyone else in Arkansas? We've almost ran out of Arkansas.
Bridges, Big Bridge.
You got to get Bridges on, yeah, for sure.
He's got his own podcast called The Bridge Is Out, where they give sports picks. Yeah.
Okay.
And this one, his is 10 times more professional. They put some money into it. I'm not kidding. Their microphones are like $1,000 a piece, and if you can stay up past the first 3 minutes of it, it's supposed to pick up. You know.
So they don't wear hats. I bet. Do they wear hats?
No. It's professional. It's all professional on that deal. It's a paid deal. Advertisements. It's big time. It's where we're trying to get.
He's giving out 30 gambling picks, and they're 2-28.
Kind of like your pick last night with the Dodgers can't lose this one.
So here's Gino knows what that was. So here's what that is, Bob.
Double reversal.
What that is, whenever you hear me say that, I either want the other team to win or I bet on the other team. Because I would never, if I actually want a team to win or bet, the last thing, that's the golden rule of anything. They'll never lose this game. So that's my old double reverse psychology.
All right.
I didn't even want to put on there that it was the double reversal because it would have took the double reversal off of what he was doing.
But I knew the double reversal.
Because if he would have said that and had I had the Dodgers for money, you would want to kill him because you know right then when somebody says that, it's good night, Irene.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen that when you got a bet and someone goes, oh, there's no way you can lose this one. You might as well just shut the fucking TV off and start
kind of like when
job.
You tell the pitcher in the 6th inning they got a no-hitter, right? Like, hey, you got a no-hitter going. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
or behind the plate, you go, the only thing we can't do not walk this guy, whatever you do. The guy, when Yoakum was pitching, I'd be like, hey, make sure you don't walk this guy no matter what coming up. He'd go, why do you, now I'll walk him no matter, and he would every time, so I stopped saying it, but you know.
You know what I used to say that would get Andy mad, but I would do it just once in a while because he was so competitive he wouldn't even go with it. Is if someone was just wearing him out and they got 6 hits in a row or did whatever, like right before he was about to pitch, but I'm doing it to mess with the hitter. But I'd say, Andy, step up. I said, save us 5 seconds, turn around, just throw the ball in the gap and let him run and get a double. Save us time. You know, but Andy wouldn't even he would hate it because he's like, I'm getting him. Like, Jesus, dude, you're so competitive. You can't even play into. I'm trying to get in this guy's head.
Yeah, he was in another level of competitive.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
There's not a question.
All right. Is there any way you can come back on again tomorrow? We don't have no one lined up.
Ruli's probably going to want to get in for a rebuttal, right? To say why he couldn't run to second or something.
He's scared. He's scared to come on. I think he's scared. He can't control what's in. I don't think he trusts us. I don't think Ruli will ever come on.
Wow.
He will. He'll come on.
When?
He wants to come on. I talked to him. He's worried about, he said he had a change of clothes one day and then we never called him. I go, you don't need to be dressed up. I mean, now look at Bobby here. So now he's set the bar with that, what is that, $1,000 polo shirt you got on? No wonder you won't let me send you any shirts.
I'll take some shirts, man.
Ralph Lauren.
I have 2 daughters. I don't spend much money on clothes. I'll tell you that.
No, I told you. I'll hook you up.
Gino, you coming to Florida December 19th?
Well, guys, it's been good talking to everyone.
We can do a live pod literally right from the street in Florida.
It's a 7-hour flight. You guys, I'll fly you guys here because you guys will be the only 2 at that deal.
Not true.
All right. Well, I got to get going, guys. This has been real.
Thank you so much, Bobby.
Yeah, enjoyed it. This was fun, man.
Yeah, good catching up.
I'll give you a thumbs up on the.
Give us a like. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, make sure to follow, too. Create a Facebook account.
Nope. Yeah, that ain't happening.